Welcome, Steeler Nation. I'm Stan Savran, and with me is one of the newest members of the Steelers Hall of Honor, James Farrior. James, great to see you. How are you?
Glad to be here. I'm doing well.
Great. You're in big doings here with the Steelers. People may have forgotten that you're a number one draft choice of the New York Jets, 8th overall, as a matter of fact. So a high pedigree guy coming out of UVA. You spend your first 5 years with the Jets, and you find your way to the Steelers. How did that all transpire?
Yeah, like you said, I was a first-round draft pick, number 8 pick overall for the New York Jets, and I enjoyed my time there. It was a great learning experience for me, but overall, I don't think I played as well as I thought I should have, and things didn't work out at the end as quite as I thought it would, and I became a free agent, and Pittsburgh was one of the teams that showed the most interest, and that's how I ended up here.
There were other teams. What was it about Pittsburgh that you thought might be more attractive?
Well, to tell you the truth, they were the first team that offered me a contract, and they were pretty much the only team that had money on the table to offer me a contract to come play, and I felt like that was enough motivation for me to make the deal done, get the deal done.
So a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
Take it while you can get it.
Yeah, being a free agent, that was a lonely process, man. I thought it was going to go fast, but it didn't work out how I thought it would, and things just took a little bit too long, a bit of time than I thought expected it to be. So, it all worked out in the end.
Well, James is considered Kevin Colbert's greatest free agent signing, and that exists to this day. What was it about not only coming to Pittsburgh and the legacy here of great defense and more in particular, James, great linebacking play. In addition to that, the fact that they, after a while, not initially as I recall, they moved you inside. Is that where you probably were at your best?
I feel that I played my best football when I was inside. I played outside linebacker on the line of scrimmage my first few years at the Jets, and it was a position that I was uncomfortable with and not used to, and it took me a lot of learning and adjustments to make, and I think that had a little bit to do with, my success on the field. And once I moved to inside, and I felt like I was a better player when I could see what was going on and react from that instead of just having to be right now. When you're on the line of scrimmage, everything happens immediately. So I think moving back a little bit and give me time to process things helped my career out a lot.
Was your mobility better utilized in that regard inside as opposed to outside?
I feel like that. I feel like, having me in space and keeping me off the ball helped me out tremendously.
Now, what did that mean in terms of your responsibilities in pass coverage?
It meant a lot more responsibility in pass coverage. I had to take on a lot of tight end coverages, a lot of one-on-one with running backs, and it wasn't the best. I probably wasn't the best at it, but I did my best, and I had some pretty good matchups with tight ends and running backs, and overall, I think I did okay.
I'm wondering also, one of the moves they made, not initially, you were right inside linebacker, and then you ended up moving to left inside linebacker. What was behind that?
I don't know. I think the coaches felt that, they made a decision that it didn't make a difference for me, and I don't think it affected the team in any negative way. So I was fine with the move, and, I had trust and confidence that they would put me in the best position to make plays.
First 2 years you're here, the Steelers do not make the playoffs after being in the AFC Championship game in 2001 and losing to the Patriots. Sorry to bring that up. But 2004 was a magical year. Everybody knows the story about Ben coming in as a rookie. You go 15-1, but it's also a magical year for you. You are in second place behind Ed Reed for the NFL Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
You had 4 interceptions, and one comes to mind. You returned it 41 yards for a touchdown. Do you remember that play?
Well, I know the only touchdown I had was the Cincinnati game. So, yeah, I do remember that play, and it was an exciting play. It helped us win the game, so I was really excited about that. But,
Did you pick off Carson Palmer?
It had to be. It had to be Carson Palmer. I believe it was. And yeah, I think so.
Well, 2004, again, the Patriots come to town. And I'm wondering, the 2004 loss to New England on home field, did that serve as, not only for you, but for the entire team, as any kind of a springboard for what was about to come in 2005?
Yeah, I think looking back on it, we didn't know it at the time. Everybody was really disappointed in the loss. We had great expectations. We were 15-1, and nobody thought we could lose, and we got our butts beat pretty bad that weekend. And I think from that moment on, I think we kind of bonded even closer. I think that brought us together even more. And I think we were all determined and had the same focus that next year going into it that year.
Well, with all that having been said, here you are, 3/4 of the way through the season, sitting at 7-5, and in real danger of not even making the playoffs. You then went on one of the most spectacular, successful runs in NFL history. After dropping to 7-5, you as a team captain, you as a team lead, what was said?
It wasn't really too much to say at that point. You know, we were riding high. Like you said, we were 7-2 at one point, and then we lose three straight, and that was very frustrating, disappointing. And I think our backs were against the wall. We couldn't lose another game, or we weren't going to make it to the playoffs. So I think we all had the mindset that our playoffs were starting now, and it started in the last 4 games, and we went boom, 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 step by step, and by the time we made it to the playoffs, we were hitting all 4 cylinders, and it was amazing.
Well, speaking of boom, 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 of that 4-game stretch, I would guess, and the Steeler fans out there can help me, that the one play that will stand out is when Jerome, in the snow, ran over Brian Urlacher, and I wondered if the team got a lift from that. You had to win the game, but that was classic, a snow globe of Steeler football.
You know, at the time Jerome was finishing up his career, it was his last year, and we knew he wasn't really the most important part of the team. He was one of our big pieces, but he wasn't really running the ball as, you know, he wasn't a full-time starter. So, you know, he came in when we needed him the most, and, you know, it was his type of game. It was, like you said, it was snowing, and the weather was cold, and who wants to tackle Jerome Bettis in the cold snow? And he had him one of the most amazing days, and it definitely lifted up our group when he made that touchdown.
Well, going back to the beginning of the season, one of the big storylines was after 2004, the defeat in the AFC Championship game. There was a team meeting. I remember Hines Ward being in tears, pleading with Jerome to come back. And I wonder if the fact that Jerome was coming back for what everybody assumed would be his last year was also a motivating factor, wanting to send him out as a winner.
Oh, of course. I mean, Ben made him the promise that he would have him in the championship if he came back, so we didn't want to let Ben down, and we didn't want to make him out to be a liar. So,
well, let's get to the playoffs. And the game, again, it was a remarkable run. Ben really came to fore. People expected you to run. He came out, especially in Denver, and passed. But before then, there's the Indianapolis game. Things are going well. Speaking of Jerome, it looks like things are going to get wrapped up. And, of course, he fumbles. Ben makes the game-saving tackle. I mean, everybody was in shock. And I wonder, you may have been the only guy in the entire building in Indianapolis that wasn't shocked and kept your wits about you.
Well, I got to admit, I was shocked, too. During the play, when the play was happening, we were on the sideline. The defense was on the sideline, feeling good about ourselves that we had stopped them on 4th down, and we were taunting the fans. We probably would get a penalty for that nowadays, for taunting.
Just for looking at them.
Yeah, making fun of the fans and waving them, giving them waves goodbye. And all of a sudden, we hear the crowd just go crazy. Something happened, and we all turn around and see this guy running down the field, and Ben makes a great play. And as we're about to go out on defense, I just get all my wits back with me, and I go to Coach LeBeau, and he's still a little bit out of it, trying to figure out what he needs to do. And I'm like, hey, Coach, let's go win this game. And I think he came back too, and he called couple great plays and sealed the deal.
So you didn't actually see Jerome fumble the ball.
I didn't see the fumble, no. I didn't see the fumble. I was like, okay, we're on the 1 yard line. The game's over. Jerome's about to run it in for a touchdown, and it's it. So I didn't even think twice about anything else happening other than that. So it was definitely a surprise.
Did you say to Dick, Coach, what's the call? Give me the call.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. He was I think he was still in shock a little bit, and yeah, I was ready to go. I knew we had to go finish the game, and I definitely wanted to go finish the game.
Of course, Dick LeBeau, legendary in the Hall of Fame, certainly in the annals of Steeler history. A couple things. You came out, I guess, was it Joey Porter who orchestrated everybody wearing Dick LeBeau jerseys?
Yes, that was Joey's idea. He was a good team captain in that aspect. He always knew the right thing to do at the right time, and that was one of those times.
Now you're on a roll. You've won the 4 regular season games. You're moving forward in the playoffs. You go into Denver and dominate the game from the get-go. Heading into Detroit with, at that point, that kind of winning streak, did you feel like nothing can stop us now?
We felt pretty good. We felt pretty good. We thought we were doing pretty well, and we had a lot of momentum going into the Super Bowl. And we didn't really think about winning the game. We just thought about, this is another game in the journey, and this is the one we need to, be our best.
Before the kickoff, people are well aware, it's one of the great scenes in NFL history. You're in Detroit. You have an idea it's going to be Jerome's last game. He's in his hometown. And was it a team leader decision, or was that Joey again who said, don't tell Jerome when they introduce the team, let him run out there by himself?
That was all Joey again. Like I said before, he knows what time and when to do it, and another perfect moment for him. I don't know how he got it. It was all his idea, and he came up with it while we were in the tunnel, I believe. And he was like, everybody go back, let Jerome go.
So he didn't make the call until you're actually in the tunnel? It wasn't discussed during the week?
No, I don't remember discussing that. It may have came up, but I sure don't remember. And I think he did it in the tunnel. It was a split decision.
Yeah, because you can't ask 53 guys to keep a secret.
Right.
So you enter the field. The Seattle game was interesting. It was a tough game. The offense struggled a bit, but the great play by Willie Parker, the Antoine Randall touchdown, about 2 big plays, but you really played stifling defense that day.
We played good defense, and during that playoff run, we had to go against the number 1, number 2, and number 3 offense in the league that year. So we were prepared. I think Seattle ended up being the number 1. We already played the 2 and 3, and Seattle was the top dog. So we took a little bit of motivation in that aspect of it too. We wanted to finish our season beating the top 3 teams in the offense in the NFL.
Everybody wants to be a champion, but was it made especially sweeter because you had experienced such disappointment in 2004?
Oh, especially made it more gratifying to have that after the year we had before. 2004 was definitely a disappointing year, and like I said, it brought us closer together, and I think we appreciated that championship a lot more.
Everybody will remember Bill Cowher on the stand with the late Dan Rooney, rest his soul, the confetti coming down. But I'm wondering, at the moment the game was over, everybody wants to win a championship. Can you recall what you felt at that moment?
Oh man, words can't even describe how I felt. I was just so overwhelmed. It was like a dream come true. I didn't really know what to say, what to expect, and how to react. And what's funny is right after the game, I got escorted off the field right away into the media session. And so I didn't really get to be a part of all the celebration after the game, the confetti and everybody, your family down on the field. I didn't really get to be a part of that. And that was one thing that I was very disappointed in. Because when I came back from the interviews, everything was over. So that was one thing I learned from the Super Bowl, that I didn't want to make that mistake the second time, or if I ever got back again.
Which
I
you
did
did.
the next time.
Which you did. See, having to talk to the media always has a negative connotation. 2006 is not a good year. It's Bill Cowher's last year. Mike Tomlin comes in 2007. If you can specify what changed, two different people, two highly successful people, one in the Hall of Fame, one likely to be in the Hall of Fame, but what was different when Mike came in 2007 from Bill Cowher in the years that you played for him?
I just think it was just, everything was new with Coach Tomlin. He had new energy. He had new coaching philosophies. He had, a lot of new things that Coach Cowher, there were a lot of similar things, but just a little bit of difference, just enough to make everybody aware that this is something different. And I don't think it was something really big. It was just a different attitude, just new energy. And I think it was something that we needed.
2008 is a great year, ends up the best way it possibly can. But in that process, I recall that defense in 2008 was being compared to the great steel curtain defenses of the 70s. Did you feel that way?
I thought we were really good. I thought we had one of the best units that I've been a part of in my whole career here. It was that 2008 year. And we were pretty dominant. I don't know if we were dominant as those teams that we were getting compared to, but we were pretty close. But, those guys set the standard, for pretty much the whole NFL, how it is to be a good defense. So, we could never do the things that those guys did back in the day, but we tried our best.
Yeah, 5, 6 Hall of Famers. That'll get your attention. Playing in Pittsburgh, whether it was at Three Rivers and certainly at Heinz Field, it can be a magical experience. And I know in our past conversations of all the big games that were played there, the championship games, the great games, I know that you've sought and brought out the atmosphere at the championship game against the Ravens in 2008, maybe is the one that sticks out in your mind as the most electric.
Oh, for sure. The Ravens, that's our biggest rivalry. We love competing against those guys. We had a home game. And, what better way to get to the Super Bowl than beat your arch nemesis? So it was pretty special.
I think everybody will still see Troy and the hair flying out the back of the helmet on that interception return. Take us back to that play. What do you remember about it?
I remember we scored to take the lead, and there's not a lot of time left. And, it's our time to shine again. And we felt like, we had everything ready to go, and we thought that we were going to close the game out. I didn't think we would close it out in that type of fashion, but, Troy's, the player that he is, came up with a big play when we needed it, and the rest was history. It was a very exciting play, and I still haven't been to a game or been a part of an atmosphere that was that electric.
What was it about it? I mean, there had been AFC championship games there before. What was it about that one in particular?
It was a hard-fought game. It was a close game throughout.
Cold?
Yeah, it was very cold. And I think it was a very low-scoring game. And like I said before, going against the Ravens in the championship game, you wouldn't have it any other way.
James, the Steelers and the Ravens, the bitterest of rivals, largely because there's always something at stake, regular season playoffs, exhibition, training camp, scrimmage, whatever it is. And I also wonder if it's because both teams like to play the same way.
We both have the same mentality. We both have a sort of a bully mentality that we try to impose our will on teams, and they were the same way as we were. We were mirror images of each other. So I think those games brought out the best in both of us. And it was funny because I recently saw Ray Lewis at a function recently, and he was talking about the rivalries and how those were probably some of the best games of his life. And Ray Lewis is one of the guys I looked up to when I was coming out, and he's one of the best linebackers ever to do it, and he cherishes those big games.
Was there an animosity among the players or just a rather large dose of mutual respect?
It was a very large dose of mutual respect. We both had the utmost respect, but we loved to hate each other. So, we never really got into anything crazy, but during the plays and between the lines and between the whistles, it was some tough football.
You talk about Joey Porter, but most people regard you as the spiritual leader of that team. Is that a mantle that you accepted and that you enjoyed?
Yeah. Well, you said it right when you said Joy was I think he was the heartbeat of this team when he was here, and I don't think anybody can dispute that. But, when he left, there was a void, and, I was one of the older players on the team, so I felt it was a responsibility of mine to, try to do everything I could to try to lead the team the way Joey did and, try to put my little spin to it.
Because you were one of the elders on the team, was the 2008 Super Bowl win over Arizona sweeter than the one over Seattle in 2005?
I would say so. The first time you could never, get that feeling back again. But, I think that second Super Bowl was definitely a little bit more gratifying for me personally because I felt like I had a lot more of my personality on the team.
Two more questions about that. Maybe the greatest play in Super Bowl history. Where were you on the James Harrison 102-yard interception return?
I was watching watching him. I was behind. I was in the end zone when he caught the ball a little deeper than he was, and I started to run to go try to pick up some blocks, and I got pulled down by my neck brace from the back, and that took me out of the play early on. So I was a spectator pretty much the whole ride down the field. And what an amazing run it was. Every player that was out there was, doing everything they could to get James into the end zone, and he made a great run.
He had to because the clock had run out. Otherwise, it's just an interception.
That was the scariest part of it. We saw the clock running out, and I wanted him to get out of bounds so we could try to kick a field goal, and because I didn't think he was going to make it. It was a long way to go, and he had different ideas. So I'm glad he didn't think like I was thinking, and he took it all the way.
Did you actually see him score? Could you tell from where you were at?
Yes. Well, I saw him fall into the end zone. I didn't know if Fitzgerald was on top of him all the way, so we had to wait and see the replay. But they called it a touchdown, and when he did get into the end zone, so I felt good about that.
That may have been exhaustion as much as Larry Fitzgerald pulling him down.
I'm glad it was halftime after that because everybody was really tired.
And did you have a good look at Santonio's catch in the corner of the end zone?
No, not at all. I didn't have a good look. I was on sitting on the bench, and it happened on our sideline, so I didn't have any type of view. And when he caught the ball and they called touchdown, everybody was screaming and going crazy. I think probably half of the defense was just like, did he really catch it? Like, that looked really high. I don't know if he got his feet in bounds, and we just sat on the bench and waited for the replay. And it didn't take long, so that was pretty good.
You played 15 years in the NFL, 10 with the Steelers. You're clearly identified with the Steelers. And I wondered, it was a fortuitous marriage, you and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you feel like you just fit the culture, not only of the team, but of the city, the Rooney family, the ownership group, and just the entire vibe around Steelers football?
Everything you just said, I think it was just a perfect fit. I think I was meant to play for the Steelers. I like to say that nowadays, but it was just an outstanding experience. The Rooney family, just from they started it, and from then it just trickles down from the coaches, the staff, the players, the equipment people, the medical staff, everybody, the media. I mean, it's just infectious, and being a part of this is one of the greatest experiences of my life.